Hi, welcome to Salt and Burn This. I'm Sammy.
And I'm Valerie.
And this is our Supernatural Rewatch podcast.
Each week, we're going to break down an episode in order with lots of details, so nothing's left out.
And we throw in some personal nuggets and stories and research to mix it up just a little bit.
Because not only are we fans of the show, but like Sam and Dean, we've also had our fill of road trips.
Yeah, but for theater, not for hunting ghosts and demons.
And not in a super sexy muscle car.
Anyway, shall we?
We shall. So I have a couple of banter points.
Okay.
I remember the last time we spoke, I was really fired up about an episode
How you hated
of
the
Boys.
episode. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And here's why.
Okay.
I've held on to it. It's been a while since
So
we
glad
spoke.
we're continuing that conversation.
But this has been burning a hole in me.
Okay.
And then on top of that, there's something new that started me off. Okay, so this episode of Supernatural has Chuck, right?
Yeah.
Chuck is Chuck-centric. And the actor Rob Benedict is Chuck. Now, since Supernatural, a lot of the Supernatural personalities have gone on to do other shows, or gone on to do things like direct or write and things like that. And one of the things that almost everyone from Supernatural has done, including if you're watching any Instas right now, is The Boys. Everybody from Supernatural is going to The Boys, whether it be, John or Dean or now Sam and now Misha is now apparently...
I did not know that Sam or Castiel are on the show now.
Yes.
I really need to start watching that show.
Both Jared and Misha are going to be on the final season
yay.
of The Boys.
Is Jensen still in it?
He comes back.
Okay.
Yeah, he comes back and will be in this final season.
So it's
He did
basically a Supernatural reunion.
Yeah, pretty much, because Bobby has been on it as well. It's redonk. I mean, obviously, it's Kripke, who's writing it.
Kripke,
So.
yeah, and that's a thing that a lot of directors and showrunners do, or
They
not
bring
directors.
back.
I'm sorry, like showrunners, producers, things. They'd like,
Yeah.
I like working with this group of people, so I'm going to bring them back.
But anyway, Rob Benedict has a one episode appearance on The Boys.
Okay.
And I am truly horrified by it. I am scarred. I can no longer watch Rob Benedict on Supernatural after having just watched this episode of The Boys.
Okay.
And I will not ruin anything for anybody listening to this, including you.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say I know more about Rob Benedict than I ever needed to know. And I just want to point out that I think he lost a bet when he took this role.
Oh.
I don't think he had any idea when he signed on for this character, for this role. I think Eric Kripke said, I'm going to roll the dice or like flip a coin. Heads you're this, tails you're that. And Benedict called it wrong and lost the bet. I'm just going to put, because nobody
Is he
would
naked?
do this. Is he what?
Is he naked? Naked. I've just said it a funny way.
I know. No. I know what you said. I'm trying to figure out how to answer this. I'll say yes.
Okay.
I will say yes. But how? And for how long? And for how many shots? And for how many close-ups?
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So anyway, Rob Benedict completely ruined Supernatural for me at this point. I will no longer be able to see Chuck as Chuck.
Yeah. Without some sort of image just seared into your mind.
Exactly.
Understood.
So that was my first rant. And since I had that rant, I have since now come across another rant. And I'm so sorry if I am completely taking over the banter for this particular episode. I often, as we all do, have shows on in the background, or we like to watch I want to watch a fluffy show that doesn't take me in. Like, I don't have to watch it, but if I am watching, it's fine. So I started watching Reacher, which is on Amazon, I think.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the first two seasons were actually pretty good, pretty fluffy, easy to watch. Not the best acting in the world, not the best writing, but still, engaging.
Mm-hmm.
So I happened to notice that they were running previews for the coming season of Reacher. And if
Mhm.
they didn't fucking use Kansas Wayward Son as
Oh my
his new
God!
theme song,
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, I saw this also because I have like Fire Stick or whatever, and sometimes if I like accidentally press
I
home and it just goes, I thought about bringing this. Thank
screamed.
you for reminding me because I was gonna bring it up because
I
I was
literally yelled at the television and
yeah,
I said,
I
"No,
think I did
no,
too.
you don't."
I think I did too.
Absolutely, yes. I literally was screaming in my apartment, going, "No, you don't. No, no." The words "no, no, no" over and over and over again. I even had my like door open to my balcony and I was screaming so loud. I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I think they can hear me."
yeah.
Yeah. I
No,
literally was like,
same.
"No, no,
Same. I
no."
was sitting on the sofa, like doing like my homework or whatever, and like I heard that, and I just sat straight up. My iPad fell off of my lap, and I was like,
How
"What?"
dare you? Yes, I literally was indignant. And
Yes,
how dare you? And
yes.
it
It's like
doesn't
this
even,
square-faced, like handsome Squidward man gets to use that song. I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah,
I
I was
don't.
like, way to literally cop,
Yeah.
because it wasn't even like, it wasn't a reference, it wasn't a call
No,
out, it wasn't it was
it was
full
that
blown
song. It
stealing
was
the
edited.
hero. Yep.
Yeah, it was edited in a different way, or there was like
It's now his
an
theme song.
an additional track, not track, like instrumental line on top of it. So it is Kansas Wayward Son plus some sort
Plus
of
something else.
newy thing, but
I'm just saying they absolutely stole the hero
yeah,
music.
yeah,
It was yeah, 100% copycat.
we should
Yeah,
write to them.
not paying tribute to. It wasn't like, "Oh, if you
Yeah,
liked this, you'll like that." No,
I know.
completely stolen. I was
And I
like,
know it's kind of it's it's hard because it's like Supernatural does not own that song. So it is anybody can go buy it and use it, but it's
"But
just so
why
tied.
would
It's so
you?
tied to this show.
Why
It's so
would you?"
tied
I
to the
mean,
it's like see it's like CSI. You know, they use
yes,
the
the
Who.
Who. Yes, but now all you think about is, yeah, it
Yeah.
won't be, it
Who
won't
who
be.
who.
Yes, exactly. That's all you think of is CSI. And the same thing with the CSI Miami,
Yeah, with a different Who song.
Yeah, but still, yes,
But
exactly.
that was the
Why would
thing
you
though.
do
It's like
that?
the CSI franchise used different The Who songs for each of their locations. You know, CSI in
Yes.
Miami had one, CSI Las Vegas had one,
CSI
CSI
New
New
York
York
had
had
one.
one, but they were
Yeah.
all by The Who. Like they kind of have this weird ownership over The Who, even though they
Yeah.
don't. It's like
Yeah, but it still worked.
I know
But
what you mean about this Reacher thing, because I was like,
this
this
was
stupid show. I will
so
never watch
bad.
you now.
That's the thing. I was like, you've ruined Reacher for me.
Yep.
It's just this little fluffy, action show. And now I can't because you guys are fuckers.
Yep.
So that was my two little banters.
No, well, I agree with that rant. I share in
Fan
that rant with you.
fantastic.
Season 5, Episode 9, The Real Ghostbusters. The Hookman, a scarecrow, a clown, a bobby, hunters, FBI agents, a lot of Sam and Deans, and the real Sam and Dean. Becky dupes the Winchesters into attending the first supernatural convention. Then one more attendee arrives. A ghost.
A ghost.
Written by Nancy Weiner and Eric Kripke did the teleplay, and directed by James L. Conway.
I liked this
Loved it.
episode.
Oh,
I
I
liked
loved
it
it.
a lot. I kept stopping so I could actually make poignant notes about it.
Yeah.
And not notes, I mean, normally my notes are about, oh, well, the starburst was in this episode, or just little things that I could point out. This was definitely more character driven and less about the environment of Supernatural and more about the characters of Supernatural. And that's why I kept stopping. I
The
was that they've
very
written.
meta
Yeah.
type of thing, but also it wasn't, yes, it was very comically set up, but it wasn't pure
It wasn't
comedy.
poking fun. Yeah, it wasn't poking fun, which they've done in the past.
Yeah. Well, a
It
little bit.
was
There was a little bit like kind of a internal poking fun. I think it was like the writers poking fun at themselves. Like this
yes.
was an opportunity for them to make fun of their loopholes in writing
There
or their mistakes in
yes.
writing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. Less
Um,
about the characters. It wasn't
yes.
funny like haha characters. It was yes, it was supernatural poking fun at their circumstances.
Yes.
Circumstances, she said. Circumstances.
All right. So our then an interesting recap scene
Yeah, they
conglomerate
went
going
way
on.
back. I mean, they went
So
way, way
season
back.
one back, and it was a lot of Sam to start with. It was Sam's possession in asylum,
Mhm.
and then it was Dean telling Sam that
I
this
may
like
have to kill
way back.
you.
Dad told me I might have to kill you. Becky's obsessing over him the first time that they met.
Yeah,
Um,
but who
also
wouldn't?
featured. Yeah. Also featured is Chuck, of course, the Colt, and LARPing. So
And
those
the
are kind of
supernatural
the
books. Yeah.
yeah, and those are kind of the themes that
Um, going back to the title of the Real Ghostbusters, I mean, the name of a cartoon, was the Real Ghostbusters, which they wrote, which came out after the Ghostbusters cartoon came out. And I remember like there was a big deal about the Real Ghostbusters coming out because the original cartoon, the Ghostbusters, wasn't it was just like a bunch of people who busted ghosts and there was like a gorilla involved and stuff like that. So when they came out with the Real Ghostbusters, it was the actual movie Ghostbuster characters but in
oh, is
cartoon
this the one with the
form.
like the green slime
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the real Ghostbusters had Slimer, the green guy.
Mm-hmm.
The Ghostbusters just had like just random characters and a gorilla. And I don't remember, I
Ah,
just remember it was kind of like the difference between like Coke and New Coke. It was a big deal when this
okay.
happened. People were really
Okay.
offended by New Coke. So people were really offended by the Ghostbusters, the cartoon. So they came out with the real Ghostbusters. So
Got
when I
it.
first saw this episode, it took me a second. I was like, okay, what? Why?
Yeah.
Why? And then I was thinking, oh, well, because they actually are Ghostbusters. They're the real
Uh-huh.
Ghostbusters, as compared to the LARPing Ghostbusters. But then I was like, but is that really what they were going for? Is that really what this title was about? I don't know. Oh, God. Anyway, it was just funny that I had to stop and think about that.
Yeah.
And that took me back to that stupid cartoon that I never watched. I just know that
Yeah.
it was a big
I think
thing.
I did watch it actually, because I remembered Slimer
Yeah.
pretty vividly. But anyway, okay. So after the recap, we have the now, some fast dramatic music going on. The boys are dramatically rushing into a parking lot where there's
In the
several
Impala.
other Impalas
Dun,
in the parking lot.
dun, dun, dun,
Um,
dun, 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 dun.
yep.
Huh.
They're rushing to the aid of Chuck, who's very surprised to see them
Surprised
there.
that.
He's like, "Oh,
Yes.
hey, what's
What are
going
you guys
on,
doing here?
guys?"
Yeah. We drove all night just to get here.
Yes, but
Why?
you send an SOS. Like, what's going on? He's like,
Yep.
I never did.
It's Becky.
Becky with the good
And
hair.
what I love about this is like Becky walks into this situation and of course is still drooling over Sam and thinking that Sam is there to see her. Completely glosses over the fact that she got Chuck's phone from his pants and
Yes.
texted the boys, meaning she and Chuck have been having sex. So she had access to his
I
pants.
don't think so.
I think so.
I don't. I
Really?
think it's
You think
later.
you
No,
think that how did she get into his pants? I mean, how did she have access to his pants?
I mean, his phone was just in his pocket, so you don't have to have sex with somebody to get something out of their pocket.
Oh, she
Or,
doesn't say from your pocket. She says your pants, which made
okay,
would
where
me to
else would it
believe.
be in his pants? He just like kept it in the crotch of his pants.
No, that his pants were off his body, but his phone was in his pants.
I don't think
That's
they
what
were
I was
having
thinking.
sex because throughout this whole episode, Chuck is trying to get in her pants and like trying to cozy up to her. And
Okay.
it's not until later that she's like, "Oh, hi Chuck." So I don't think no,
Oh,
she's too in her head about Sam and their fake relationship right now. She's like
okay.
lasered in on Sam.
The
And
only
I
thing I can
think
think of
she
is that
just
it just
stole the
didn't.
phone from his pocket somehow
I
because
okay.
he's so aloof and like doesn't know what's going on half the time. So
Okay, I just figured that she was sleeping with Chuck, A, because she's, the number one Supernatural fan, and
yes,
also anything to get her closer to Sam,
I would
so it
agree with
doesn't
that.
mean anything to her
I
that she's just
would,
like,
but I don't. I just
no,
I
okay,
can't agree that she was having sex with him. But
okay. I
that's we each have our own opinion, and that's fine.
So she's obsessed with Sam. She's super happy to see that Sam is there,
Hmm.
and completely glosses over the fact that she tricked them to get them there. And she's like, "Come on, we got this thing," you
Yes.
know.
So she beckons them inside, and then Chuck follows, and he's profusely apologizing. He's just like,
I,
just for
I,
everything.
yes, sorry for what you're about to walk into.
Yes, yes.
And
And
Sam and Dean
they,
are like, "What are you talking about?"
yeah, they walk in, and they see
Oh,
lots of leather jackets,
oh,
people,
lots of Samulets.
yes, lots of Samulets, guys greeting him as Dean, who are also Dean. Yeah,
Wearing the exact same, not just the leather
exact.
jacket,
No, it's
the
like the dark blue
exact
shirt, the
same
pants.
shirt,
Yeah.
jeans, jacket, hysterical. And
Yeah.
greeting them as Sam and Dean. They're like, "Hey, Dean, Sam, how's it
Who are
going?"
you?
Yeah, oh well, we're Dean and Sam too.
Yep.
Which hysterical. And then
Yeah.
they're greeted by Scarecrow, who's like the
Hmm.
nicest guy in the world, but he's literally dressed up as like the Scarecrow from Scarecrow. He's like, "Have a good time, you guys." Rawr.
Yeah.
You know? And as Sam and Dean look around the room, they see other like characters and nightmares from their past.
Yeah,
Like they
and swag stands.
people with with like demon eye, black-eyed
Yeah,
contact lenses,
the sclera lenses, the yellow-eyed
yellow
lenses. It's just
eyes.
like it's like a total nerd fest,
Yes.
in the best
But
way.
and everyone's having a great time.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy and smiling and buying Route 666 mugs or
Yes.
got salt.
Yeah,
And they're just like, what is going on?
remember when that
Even
was
the
a
girl
thing,
from
the got milk, and it
Got
was like
Milk got
got, fill
salt.
in the blank.
Yeah. And
It was
the
just
Bloody
everywhere.
Mary was there. She had bleeding
Yeah.
eyes. They were selling supernatural books, the supernatural books. Ash was there with his not Ash, but
Yeah, a
uh,
cosplayer
a
Ash,
cosplayer Ash, a
cosplayer
cosplayer.
Bobby.
Yes, oh my God, with the fake beard. Oh God. And what's funny is the looks on Sam and Dean's face. Like Dean was, what did it was it? Sam, I said Sam seemed confused, and
Uh-huh.
Dean was like, "What?" They both had two different looks on their faces, but it both meant the same thing.
Yes.
Awesome. And that's where we went into title splash.
Yes. So,
Um,
fun fact. The
yes.
first Supernatural Con was in October of 2006. So this episode aired, I think, sometime in 2009. So they did
Mhm.
have like this did not create the Supernatural
SuperCon.
convention thing.
But
It
they had fodder to
They had fodder,
to
yes.
lean on, yeah.
But the idea for this episode came from Nancy, who the previous season was a writer's assistant, and it was during season four's monster at the end of this book, which is where we meet Chuck and the books came into the universe. And
Mhm.
because that comic book guy, they showed it in the recap, where the comic guy's like, "Oh, LARPing, live action role playing,"
Right, right, right.
and Nancy was like, well, wouldn't it be funny if in the future LARPing is a legitimate thing? People do it. So, like in the real world, people would LARP as Sam and Dean at a convention. The
Let's
real Sam and Dean could go there. And Kripke was like, yes, love it. Let's pin it on the board and we'll do it in the future.
Nice.
Yes.
It's like it's one of those like chicken and the egg type of
Yeah.
things. But I have to say that after Title Splash, I giggled.
Hmm.
We're in a ballroom and there's an MC who's running down the schedule for the day.
Yes.
And he's like, at 3:45 we have our panel, and the first panel discussion is Frightened Little Boy, scenes from Dean's life or something like that. And I was like, oh my God. Scenes of Dean Winchester or whatever. Frightened little boy. And as the camera like pans across the room, while the MC is reading out the schedule, we literally see just like a sea of Sam and Dean's, like peppered
Yes.
with maybe, an
Yeah, some
Ash
of the
or a
monsters
Bobby,
or the
some of
other
the
like
monsters,
side players. Yeah.
but so many Samulets, which I
So
think
many
is,
shades of brown,
yes.
meaning their jackets.
Yes, what's funny though is that given that Dean no longer wears the Samulet, all those
Yeah.
guys were still wearing it. I just thought that
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of a fun.
That
I don't know if they were poking fun at Jensen for no longer wearing the Samulet,
probably,
you know?
probably, but the books had stopped by the time Dean got rid of it. Because they
Yes,
like during this question and answer session that's going to happen, one of the guys is like, well, like the last book, Dean goes off to hell. What happened? So it's not
right.
till after Dean comes back that he then hands it off to Castiel.
Yeah,
So all these fans of the books don't know that
that he
the
doesn't have
Samulet is
it.
not in play anymore.
Yeah. I'm still reading down the schedule. The next panel is, oh, wait, what is it? It's the
Homoerotic subtext of Supernatural.
Supernatural. And I have to say, I was laughing so hard again. I hit pause just to kind of collect myself. And when I looked back up at the TV, Dean's eyes were super
Yeah.
wide, but Sam's were actually narrowed. Like he was like,
Like a
what?
what?
What? And Dean was just like, what? It was just
Excuse
so
me?
funny to see that juxtaposition. I was like, that was brilliant.
There was actually several times in this episode I had to pause and just laugh and be like,
Yes.
that is genius.
That was genius. Yes, that's one of the reasons why it took me so long to get through this episode. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna watch it. I'm just gonna watch it and let the notes kind of flow out of me. No, I had to hit pause because I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, that
Yeah.
was funny.
Yeah. Then the question and answer session happened. Well, Chuck goes up to do a question and answer session. He's obviously very nervous. This is his least favorite thing to do. He avoids it. He like yeah,
He
he avoids it. He
chugs
takes
a
like
bottle of
chugs half
water.
a bottle of water. And finally he was like, okay, I'm ready.
Any questions? And it's like the entire room was like, oh,
Yes.
me. Everyone has a question. No one's afraid to ask their questions. And what's funny is that people in this audience ask the same questions we've already asked on the podcast.
Yes.
Like, why do Sam and Dean keep losing their weapons?
Well, that was, I think I had mentioned it's in one of the last commentaries that was on.
Hmm.
Oh, it was during the episode that Dean goes back in time and meets Mary's parents. Because
Yes,
Kripke was on
and
that, and he specifically was like,
they keep
there,
losing
we
their
we have to have a
gun.
drinking game of every time a weapon gets knocked out of Sam and
Sam and
Dean's
Dean's
hands.
hands. Yes.
So this,
Yes.
I feel confident in saying this is 100% a Kripke
Kripke.
input.
Yes. But also, something that we've brought up time and time again is Ruby. And the
Hmm.
fans keep bringing up Ruby and how did Sam not see how he was being manipulated by her? And
Yeah.
this has come up twice now because it came up during
The last episode.
Nutcracker, yeah,
Yeah.
who was the demon who led Sam astray.
Yeah.
And then this time they're like, how did Sam not see that he was being manipulated? So I think that's probably a question that came up a lot through the fandom to the
Yeah.
writers. But also Chuck announces that the book series is
It's continuing.
yep, new books are going to be written. Sam and Dean not happy,
Mhm.
and they're not happy because you can see their face.
Yes,
You can see their faces.
yes. Yeah, everyone else very happy though. They're excited
Yes.
to get more
Very
books
excited. There's going to be
of their
more
favorite
books.
characters.
Yeah.
So another fun fact, Rob Benedict went to his first real convention like 2 days after this episode aired.
Stop.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he like kind of started acting like his character, like chugging a bunch of water before. Like I think
He had to talk.
I think he was legitimately a little bit nervous, but he was like, oh,
Overwhelmed by.
all the people were very nice. They weren't mean like the TV actor, convention
Yeah.
people and like asking snooty questions like that.
Really,
And
yeah.
not nearly as many cosplayers. It is kind of like not that fun to cosplay as them, to be honest, because it's just like, oh, it's a brown leather jacket and some combat boots.
Right. This takes Sam and Dean to the bar. They got to go to the bar after this. With Dean saying, our lives, they're mad about the books because, our lives are not for public consumption. total breaking of the fourth wall in the sense of the writers pointing out that their characters that they've written are saying that their lives are not for public consumption when they've been written to
Yes,
be
when they are
consumed by the
for
public.
public
Yeah,
consumption, but
yeah,
you have to live in that world.
absolutely.
Yeah, so they're approaching Chuck, who has brought a nice, fun, fruity beverage, a yellow-eyed
Yeah,
cooler,
like cooler.
to Becky, because he's trying to hit on her. But
Yes.
Sam interrupts. He's completely like cock-blocked by Sam. Not that Sam was trying, he's just standing there. He's
He's
just being
because
Sam.
just being Sam.
Yeah.
I love that those drinks even had like a giant pineapple, like
Yeah,
eye,
with like a
yellow eye.
cherry, with a cherry in the middle to look like an eye.
Yes.
I
Oh,
wonder
God.
if there's a recipe for that.
I'm sure there is. Welcome to Supernatural.
But they're interrupted by scolding Chuck when they hear a scream. So in true hero fashion, they go chase after the scream and they see a woman and they pick her
Yes.
up. They say, "What happened?" She's like, "I saw a ghost." It's like, "Oh, describe the ghost." And as this conversation continues, there's more people gathered behind Sam and Dean in their canvas and leather jackets. And then she starts to get excited. She's like, "Okay, gather
Okay, I'm gonna
around,
tell you a
folks."
story.
Yes.
Yes.
And then they're like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
this is part of this
This is the
LARPing
thing.
thing."
They don't realize that Chuck was like, wait, no, don't. It's too late. Too late. So yes, gather around to hear a terrifying tale of terror.
Yes.
Terrifying
Yes,
tale
tale
of terror.
of
And I think
terror.
that's when Sam kind of steps away, like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this is yes, LARPing.
Yeah. And then they
Um,
pass by later the MC guy who's now turned into the owner of the establishment, giving the exposition. So there's this ghost of Letitia Gore, who used to be a matron at the orphanage and terrorizing four little spirit boys who were around here.
She butchered
Yeah.
four little boys before killing herself.
Yes.
Dun dun dun.
Yes.
Have you ever done one of those like how to host a mystery or how to host a murder like games, like dinner games?
but one of the community theaters that I do have done them as a fundraiser in the past. I was not a part of them because I get a little flustered when it comes to like improv like that.
Improv?
Yeah. So I
Oh.
stayed away.
Oh, well, I did one of these. I did a how to host a mystery, but it was the Star Trek Next Generation edition. So everybody who came had to be a Star Trek character.
Okay.
I was Counselor Troy.
Uh-huh.
The guy that I had a total crush on, I told him to come as Crusher. No, not as Crusher, as
It doesn't matter. I
Jonathan-
don't know these people, so
Jonathan
you
Frakes.
can say
Okay.
anything.
Anyway, it was the dumbest time ever, but it was actually still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because it literally is one of those gather round, we'll tell the tale of,
Yeah.
and you have to like read the cards to everybody, you know, and then you have to serve your drinks, and then you have to play the tape, and then you have to figure out why the nanobots did the thing.
That
And
does
it's
sound
like,
kind of fun.
it was a lot of fun, but this is exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
just it's an evening of entertainment in a box.
Yes. Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha. In which case, in here, the grand prize is a $50 gift card to Sizzler.
Sizzler cracked me up when I heard
Yes. It's like,
that. That
oh
was
my
another
God,
pause
Sizzler.
moment. I was like, they're doing all of this, and they're like bargaining. They're like, but we get the Sizzler. We get the gift card
Later,
right?
yeah,
You guys
yeah.
can solve the mystery as long as we get the Sizzler gift card. I was like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
There's
Are there any
something I'm gonna-
Sizzlers around you? Is Sizzler still around?
I don't know, but when I lived in Nebraska, Sizzler was definitely a thing.
Okay. Sizzler is a big thing, and in Virginia, I don't know if it is anymore. Just like it's, I mean, it's the same as saying like a gift card to Denny's or a gift card to IHOP.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the
For those of you who don't
IHOP
know
of dinner
Sizzlers.
restaurants.
That's actually very descriptive. That's awesome. That's awesome. So the next
Okay.
thing we see,
Yes, is we see like another LARPer,
see-
Sam.
is another with a fake EMF detector that he has
Oh
made
my God, made out of
himself.
cardboard. It's so
Made out of cardboard, and he's like talking to somebody on his phone. It's like the EMF is going nuts, and he sees the ghosty.
it's an actor ghost.
It's the actor ghost, and she's like, let me tell you about why I'm the ghost."
Yes.
You know.
Or like,
And
where my body
aha,
is. They
yes,
buried me in the basement.
in the basement. And he like pulls out a Nerf gun and like shoots her, which I thought was funny that he shot her in the boobs. And I thought she was going to say something about like, shot me in the boobs, but
Yeah.
she didn't. But she's like, oh, you shot me. And
You
he's like, aren't you
got
supposed to like
me.
disappear? And she's like, how am I supposed to fucking disappear?
Right.
So she walks away all bummed out that she's been, shot by a Nerf gun.
By a
Um,
nerd and like just like I
by
can't believe that this is my job right now.
this is my job. Exactly. Exactly.
Um, so as he's calling his dean about the information that he just learned, there's a little boy that appears in the hallway. Go
We
ahead.
see that he's like a glitchy boy.
Yes, yes, he's glitchy appeared. And then the Sam turns around and he's like, "Oh, nice, awesome. You look cool," basically.
Yeah. And the little ghosty glitchy boy is like, help us.
Yes. Oh, but she won't
Yes.
let us have any fun.
Yeah.
And then he runs away because it doesn't he glitch away in
He
front of
glitches
him?
away. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that
And
causes the Sam to like run away, but also he's
he's
like,
like,
"Oh,
holy crap,
that was so
that
awesome!"
was
But then
good.
some invisible force grabs him, throws him around the room, and then ends up pulling him upside down.
Mhm.
And then this
Drops him.
real
Yeah.
woman ghost appears and is like, "Naughty, naughty, naughty." Runs to him, and then he falls on the floor.
Yeah. But he
So
is
now he's
damaged and bloody.
legitimately
Yeah.
freaked out and injured.
Yep. But he's not killed, which I thought he was going to be. So next thing we see, Sam and Dean are still drinking at the bar.
Mhm.
And Dean literally pulls a Joey moment. He literally says to the actress who's playing Letitia, "How you
Mhm.
doing?" He totally, "How you doing, her?" And she's like, "Dude, if you knew the number of times that someone has said that to me tonight," which I thought was very funny.
It
And
is
what was
funny.
it?
And then
Oh,
it's also she's just like, I've heard that line so many times, all wearing like the same moto jacket. Hi, as she
yeah,
sees him. And
sees
I
him.
love how confident Dean was during this whole like while she's like going off on like, dude, I don't even want to hear it. Back off. You're
Yep.
all dorks. I don't
And
care.
you're all afraid of women.
Yes.
And
And
yes,
he's just so confident, like, no, I'm like the most attractive man in here by far.
yep.
I
Well,
have
she,
zero
she,
competition.
yep. So, but here's the thing. I made a note that one of the things I love about that line about her saying that they're all afraid, like everyone who's hit on her has been afraid of women, and you're
Hmm.
not. She could totally see that he's not afraid of women. One of the reasons I love Dean is that he knows who he is.
Yeah.
And he knows where he stands with most women. Even if he's shot down by someone, he still knows who he is. And
Hmm.
he knows himself. And I love that. That's so attractive. That's just, to me, it's just a confidence thing, like you said.
Yeah.
And I love that she literally saw that in him, like the second he just looked at her. And she's like, aha, yeah, how you doing?
He also knows that he's like not one of these in his mind, dorky LARPers that are
Yes.
going around. I'm
Yeah.
not calling a LARPer a dork. Me
No.
personally, I am not calling them because I do a lot of cosplay stuff. So, but I know that this is the vibe that they are portraying in this show is like,
Yes.
oh, these
Well,
dorks.
it's they're dorks because they're embracing characters that aren't themselves. They're escaping from who they think they are in real life, wanting to be
Hmm.
other characters. And so that kind of gives you the impression that they need to be or feel they need to be
Right.
uh, somebody else
No, I just think that Dean probably thinks of them as
as dorks.
dorks.
Yes. Yes, I think you are right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And plus,
Um,
based on what he's been seeing,
yes.
you know,
I know. Okay, so anyway, they overhear the young LARPer Sam arguing with his dean. It's like that he was legitimately attacked. There's something like weird going on here. I don't want any part of this anymore. I'm leaving.
yes.
Um, the boys feel that is real enough
Mhm.
that it deserves to be investigated because
Yes.
this guy could not act that well.
I also think it's funny that these LARPers are using Dean and Sam aliases, like their FBI or their character
Yeah.
aliases. I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah, because they
Um,
pass by the owner. He's starting yet another round of this exposition. Um,
yes.
And then they end up going to the real hotel clerk and bribing him with cold hard cash for
Yep.
information, because cold hard cash is always a good way to get someone to talk. And he tells them, yes, that story is actually real. She was
Yes.
a woman here who killed 4 boys with a butcher knife and then killed herself.
Yep.
And
And
this
this place used to
incident,
be like an orphanage or something called the
yeah,
Gore Orphanage. Yeah.
yeah. And she did it up in the attic.
Yeah.
So that's where
Aha.
those guys are headed.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there's 2 other LARPers, our main
Who
LARPers,
who overheard
who
them.
overhear.
Yeah.
So in the attic, the real Winchesters are investigating there, but the LARP Chesters are wandering around a different hallway.
The LARP Chesters.
Uh,
I love the
the
Oh my God.
they're
The real Sam and Dean
arguing
have their
about,
real
yes, their real EMF,
EMF.
their real tools, their real equipment, everything. Meanwhile, the other guys are arguing about staying in character.
Oh my God, that was so funny. Stay in character, stay in character. Yeah, right. And then they like every time they said that they like dropped their voices down,
Like
like, yeah,
even
right.
lower. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, very funny. So Sam and Dean, though, looking at their real EMF, literally like mirror the guy earlier who's like, EMF is going nuts. And it was. So it's like
Yes.
their EMF detector is detecting something. And at the same time, they're also like talking about the other LARPers saying, this is actually bad because we've got real ghosts here and we have a whole bunch of LARPers who are like poking at a real ghost, not knowing that they're in this like
Yeah.
danger. So
Yeah.
there's like a level of them being the professional real Ghostbuster saying these people are
Mm-hmm.
in real danger and they don't know
Yeah.
it. And they're
Yeah.
also not helping us by like
Mm-hmm.
poking at the
Yes.
ghosts. Oh, I made a note. Look at that. I was like, I love how nowadays nerd is really kind of a term of endearment. Whereas like
Mm-hmm.
if you look at back in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
nerd really was
80s,
something.
90s, and I would even say early 2000s, which is
Yeah,
what this is kind of reflecting.
it was a term that was degrading. It was to
Yeah.
put somebody down. To say somebody was a nerd was to say that they had no social skills, and that that they were less than, that they weren't
Yeah.
real people, that they were less
Yeah.
than because all they did was they were nerds,
Yeah.
and it was a
Yeah.
bad term.
Yeah, it was actually reflected, I felt, very well in what was overall a very goofy movie, but the new Jump 21 Street, 21 Jump
Oh,
Street,
21
sorry.
Jump Street.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
with Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. And Channing Tatum in high school was the cool kid and Jonah Hill was the nerd. So Channing Tatum's trying to teach Jonah Hill how to be cool, how he knew it back in the, 90s or
Which is
whatever.
not cool now.
And I love when they walk in and they're one strap in their backpack, which was the cool way to wear your
I was a one
backpack.
strapper.
Yep,
Yep.
because you couldn't be a two-strapper, but everybody's wearing two
Two
straps.
strap.
And also the smart kids in the science class are like the cool guys, the theater people are the cool people. It was all just like, oh, I
It was
wish I
all
would have grown
reversed.
up in this.
Yes. But see, we're stronger for it. That's
I
the
guess
thing.
so.
We're stronger for
I don't know.
for still being who we are, even
That's
though
what
it
I
was
will tell
not the cool
myself.
thing to do. Yes, and that's what I
Uh,
keep telling myself.
yeah. Suddenly this little boy appears to the LARPers with the same plea that he gave to the other one, saying, "Oh, she won't
Yes.
let us have any fun." They think this is all part of the game, so their characters like, tell us where she's buried and
This
burn
is
her up real good. So the boy
yeah.
points behind them
And
to
they
a picture frame behind them, in which case a bloody handprint is vaguely
on the
hidden
wall.
on the wall, but it
Yep.
matches like all of these bloody handprints on the back of the frame, and then you pull it off, and then there's a map hidden inside. And this guy is right. This is the coolest game ever. Like that was a very kind of escape room type of thing. And that was not
Yes, yes.
even, escape
When
rooms
you
were not
figure out a
happening at
clue,
that time.
yes, when you figure out a clue without being helped by like the people who run the place,
Yes.
very cool. Very,
Yes.
you're like, yes, look what we did.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, but in the back in the attic, Sam and Dean see a little boy,
A different
a
little boy.
different
Hmm.
little boy, and this one is a glitchy ghost, another glitchy ghost. And this one like takes his hand away from his head and is like, mommy doesn't love us or something.
No, she says, my mommy loves me. My mommy loves me
Oh,
this
my mommy
much.
loves
And then when he pulls his hands away, then you see that he's been scalped.
scalped. Yeah.
which was
And
like
his
a really
and his
horrifying image. It was like, oh my
It was
God.
not expected. It was not
No.
expected. Given all the humor and the light stuff that's been happening so far,
Yeah.
to see this little boy, yeah, that was what year? God, I hate to bring this up. What year did Sixth Sense come out?
1999.
Oh, okay.
So
So
like 10 years before.
10 years before this, because one of the shocking things in The Sixth Sense was when a little boy, there's a little boy ghost who's like, "Come here, let me show you my daddy's gun," or something. And as the little boy walks away from the camera, you see that he actually has like the back of his head blown off.
Oh.
And it was so shocking because you weren't expecting that, because you just see his face. He's like, "Come here, let me show you something." And when he turns away and walks away from the camera, you literally see that the back of his head is blown off. And it was that same shock value that they did here. You weren't expecting that. You were just expecting to see the ghosty, glitchy boys, and to see a little boy who is literally bleeding from a disgusting wound on his head was
Yeah.
really shocking. And it pulls you back into the realness of
Hmm.
Supernatural, of Sam and Dean in Supernatural. So back at the bar.
Yeah. Yeah. We're back in the hotel lobby.
Good Lord.
Sam's on yeah, Sam is on the phone. I loved the scene, by the way. Becky just eye fucking the shit out of him, right at him, and does like the weirdest, most awkward gesture that she's so confident in.
What did
She
she
licks her
licks
full
her
ass
hand?
hand and blows it to him.
And I don't think Sam even saw that she did it. He was just like, "Yeah, hi." He just like
I,
waves at her like,
yeah, I
"Do you
feel like
think he
maybe this
saw
was
it?"
like I think he was supposed to see it, but I think maybe there was like an editing thing, like maybe she did
Did
something
something else.
different at the time, and so because that would not have been my reaction. My reaction would have been like,
Yeah, and
oh,
turning away or
turning
something.
around.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of like when she first met him and she touches him,
Yes, and
she
he's
like
like,
reaches
please
out,
stop, please
yeah,
stop.
please stop, but he doesn't move away from her. She still touches him and he still just stands there. So it's that same like weird, ugh,
I know,
just
but
anyway.
my favorite part about the scene is that the camera pulls away and we see that Chuck is sitting right
Just
next to
right
her.
next to her. Yeah. And he's just like, "What's going on? I
Like,
think I don't like this, but
great,
I'm gonna watch it because I
great. This
can't,
is
can't get away from
just
yeah.
great. Um,
Awkward.
So Sam has been on the phone with like this historical center, um, just I guess to see what other information he can find. And what he found was that one of the boys that was murdered was her own son. So
Oh,
this ghost is like real bad news. So they got to find where she's buried. Um,
yep.
then they overhear the LARPers
The
talking in
LARP
character.
chesters.
Yeah, the LARP chesters talking very raspily over their map. And they just like walk up and intercept. They
Uh,
they like realize, oh wait, this map is
Yep,
actually like
it's
real,
the real cemetery
legitimate.
map. Yeah.
So this
And
is
they
when they
take
force their way into like a working partnership, as long
uh,
as the LARPers get their gift card.
their
And
Sizzler
they get
gift
to be
card.
Sam and Dean. They get to be
Yes,
Sam and
they
Dean
get
in this
yes, they have no
LARPing.
idea. The LARPers have no idea that Sam and Dean are the real Sam and Dean, and Sam and Dean actually acquiesce to letting the LARPers be Sam and Dean. And I think it's
And
funny because in that conversation, I think that the LARPer Dean like out Dean's Dean. Dean was like, "Give me the map, Chuckles," and like LARPer Dean is like, "You're the Chuckles, Chuckles." Yeah.
this was also funny that the LARPer Dean pulls his jacket away to reveal a squirt gun or some sort of colorful toy gun.
Yeah,
And
it's
Dean
almost
pulls out his real gun.
real
He's
gun.
like, can't
And
take it
Sam is
anymore.
like, "No, no, 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 no." He may be annoying. Put it away. Put it
Yeah.
away.
Dean's
Uh,
just like, he's up to here with these freaking guys.
yeah. So Sam and Dean end up having agree to be like Rufus
And
and Bobby.
Bobby.
Oh
And
God.
as they're
Dean. Yep.
walking to the cemetery, the LARPers are having a typical 1 or 2 season conversation argument about dad and being daddy's good little soldier or whatever, and Sam's got a mind of his own, and
Yep.
on and on and on and on. And Dean finally just like can't take it anymore. It's like, okay, enough.
I think it's funny that Dean can't understand again, going back to the psyche of why would anybody want to live their lives?
Yeah.
Because he feels like their lives are just shit. I mean, they wake up and they're under pressure to save the world every day,
Hmm.
with dad, where's dad? Mom's dead. Evil demons are after us. Why would anybody want to be us? And he just doesn't understand that
Hmm.
everybody else sees them as heroes and all their shortcomings are underwhelming as compared to their hero comings.
Hmm.
And I just think it's so fascinating that Dean doesn't see himself that way. Neither does Sam. They don't see themselves as the heroes.
No. And to be fair, they have had a lot of shit happen to them, like
Hmm.
going to hell. That's not something to be ignored. And I
Hmm.
definitely think if you have lived that life, that is something that you would focus on. Like, is the heroing worth it
Right.
to have done things like needing to go to hell and becoming the main torturer of hell and
And the causer of the apocalypse.
right, like
And
all of the thing and losing dad and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
why would
Dean says
anybody hold?
basically all of this. A,
Right.
their pain is not for your amusement. And B, like, why would you want to be them anyway? It's not fun. Don't emulate them. And
Yeah.
and finally
It's
the LARPers are like,
very,
guys, this is just a book.
it's just a game. Yeah, exactly. It's very reminiscent of that Saturday Night Live episode that William Shatner hosted way back when.
Hmm.
And Captain Kirk is holding a question and answer episode, and all of these Trekkies are asking them questions about, do you remember in episode 35? What was the combination of the wall safe that when you opened it for and Shatner's like, what? Why would I know these things? And all these people all these fans have these very specific questions about the very intimate lives of these characters. And finally, Shatner is just like, what is wrong with you people? Like, get a life, move out of your parents' basement. What is the matter with you? To the stunned silence of all of these Trekkies. And he sees these blank faces and he's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, no. Yeah, so the combination to the lock was, and he ends up like he just realizes that these people they rely so much on the character lives of the show that he can't take that away from them. At first, he's
Yeah.
just like, what is wrong with you? Grow up. And it's the exact same moment that Dean had here, which is like, why would you want to be me? Why would you want to be these people? And then he's like, oh, okay, go ahead. Keep playing for now.
Yeah, towards the end, but right here
Yeah.
he's not there
No.
yet. Sam just or Rufus, he just like says like, no, he just really takes this
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah. Sam sees both sides.
Sorry. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
he
he does.
sees
Yeah,
Dean
he's
and he
just
sees
kind
the
of like
LARPers.
walking
Yeah.
back, yeah.
Yeah, he sees
Um
it. That is very funny though. He's like he just takes this
yeah,
acting very
yeah, sorry.
seriously. Yeah.
So they find Letitia Gore's grave. The LARPers are still looking around for fake bones, kind of like around the perimeter
Around.
of the cemetery. And then Sam and Dean are like, no, you guys want to play for
Yeah,
real, right?
dig up the
Bones
bones
are
and like
underground.
pull out shovels and stuff. And that's when they break character, which I find hysterical. The
Yeah.
LARPing Dean and Sam literally like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
They totally break character. Like, no, man, we're not digging up a real grave. That's not what that's no.
Yeah,
No, that's
they
not what
wouldn't
we're
do
doing.
that. They wouldn't put bones in the ground. Are you sure?
Are you sure?
So they
So
do.
Dean,
They dig the grave. And
the
when they
wind
open
picks
up,
up. Yep, it's
hmm
all spooky and windy, and the LARPers are disgusted. That they're starting to see that the real Sam and Dean are not as cool as they thought, especially if they're digging up real bodies. And suddenly, just as the wind really picks up, Letitia the ghost shows up. And naughty, 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 and slams Sam like out.
hmm
And the LARPers are like, run.
Yep.
They're like, we're out. But Sam and Dean as the heroes are like, you guys need to run. So they run, even though that Sam and Dean are being like beaten up by the ghost. But Sam, trips, and now the ghost Letitia is able to like grab their hearts or do something. She's like doing
Yeah, it looked
ghosty
like she was kind of
things
like
to them.
electrocuting them, but
Yeah.
anyway, she's got them captured and trapped and she's doing something bad. But then
Hmm.
Dean salts and burns the bones
Salt and
just in
burn.
time.
Yep.
It's been a while since
And
we've seen a proper salt and
salt and
burn.
burn. Yep. I circled it. I did. I circled it. Salt and burn.
Mhm.
Yep. So Letitia burns away and the LARPers are saved.
Yes.
Um, So
Sam and Dean
woohoo.
buy the LARPers a drink at the bar. Say, yep, it's on us. I
The
know.
LARPers are like, they're doing hard shots, though.
Yes. Yeah.
Didn't just buy him a beer.
No, they bought them shots of Jack. Um,
Yep.
Sam and Dean say a not so friendly goodbye to Chuck on their way
Yes.
out.
Screw you very
Yeah.
much.
But then they can't get out. The door is locked.
Locked.
The
Yep.
windows are locked. All the doors, all the windows, everyone is trapped inside.
And
So,
then another scream.
it was
See
the actor
boy.
ghost. Yeah, they see the scout's little boy who's
Yep.
like, why did you do that?
Yep.
And it was kind of interesting to see them have just like a normal conversation with a ghost, just like a back and forth, rather
Yep.
than like on the defense or get out. But no,
Or
they're just
action.
like
Yeah, they're
they're
like,
just talking to this little boy. And
yep.
they're like, well, hey, we saved you. Your mommy was a murderous
Was
bitch. And he's like, no, she didn't do that. It wasn't
yeah.
her.
It's
Who
funny.
did?
Dean made a comment while he's talking to this ghost about, we just figured, no, she gave you that high and tight, meaning scalped
Yeah.
you. Do you know the only other time I'd heard the term high and tight was from Michael when he was referring
Oh,
to your
really?
dog Marvel? Yes. She had gotten groomed once, and they groomed
Oh,
her.
I remember I remember that grooming. Yeah.
They groomed her potty patch, like whoop, and she just had a
Yeah.
nude ass. I mean, she's a big
Yeah.
fluffy dog. I mean, not big, she's a
Uh-huh.
little fluffy dog, but she's got big fluff.
Yes.
Except for that. And Michael described it as a high and tight, and I about peed in my pants. I was like, oh my God. I didn't realize that it refers to a jarhead's, and it's a
Yeah. Oh,
military
really?
haircut. Yeah, I
Oh,
had no idea.
I definitely had heard high and tight before.
Oh God, but that description is just
Yeah.
hysterical. Every time it's used to me, I always think of Michael and your dog's ass. But when Dean said that in reference to this scalped kid, I was like, oh
Oh,
God.
yeah.
Oh my God. But yes, it just shows their level of comfort when dealing with the supernatural.
Yes. With this ghost who could potentially be very vicious, and they're just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
what's wrong?" Q, this
Q,
guy who
another
I was calling German Jim Carrey, throughout this whole episode because
he was the hook
spitting
man.
image of Jim Carrey, but
Yes.
German or
With a
Swedish or
very
something.
German accent.
Yeah.
I would say German.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he ends up going Nein or Gott im Himmel.
Yes.
So it was very German.
Yeah.
Very German.
Yes, Hookman, who was the same guy who was asking all of the
weapons questions.
And then here
Yes.
these three new or one is the same one we've seen, but then
There's two other little
additionals.
boys we haven't seen. Yeah.
You're like, oh great, yes, supernatural and their creepy children, how original. And he's just going on. It was like, your makeup does not even look that good.
You look like a ghost,
Yeah.
Yes. And then they glitch.
And they pull out their knives.
They pull out their knives, and you hear
And
him
they
say
have
in German.
that one, the short one with the dark hair. He had this
just,
glare.
I'm gonna have fun with this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's it wasn't just little boys with these distant stares. No, they were like, this is great. This is gonna be good. Evil children. And then you hear him yell, God in Himmel, God in heaven. And next thing we know is Sam and Dean run up to find the dead LARPing Hookman.
Yes.
He's been scalped. So the next thing we have is Sam and Dean shutting everybody, all the LARPers, all the convention people into a ballroom, giving Chuck instructions to keep them safe.
Yeah, vamp. Vamp for until we tell you to stop.
Yeah, literally vamp, stretch it out. While they salt the doors, they lock the doors and salt the doors and stuff. And Chuck, of course, is very uncomfortable with all of this.
Yes, because he was giving a farewell address. He was just like, okay, great, this is done. See you later. Now he has to keep them there for as long as it takes. So Sam and Dean, they're discussing, well, crap, how do we stop these ghosts? What's going on? So it must have been the three little boys who attacked her son, and then she went crazy and then killed them. But then that made her crazier, so then she killed herself. But in the meantime, now that they're all dead, she was the only one that was in control of the whole situation. But then we just killed her. We got rid of the control. So now
Right.
there's
So
just
now we have to do something about the ghosts, but we can't go burn their bones because we're locked inside.
yes, because they now know what we're up to, and all of our guns are outside in the car. So, well, crap.
Right. I have an idea. You know who they really are afraid of? It's Letitia. We just
Mm,
happen to have actress Letitia
yeah.
here. And she's like, No.
Yeah.
I work at Hooters.
Yeah.
This is not what I do. Um, but Dean says to Sam, do your puppy dog thing
Yes.
and convince her. You just talk to her, do your puppy dog thing, and
Yes.
let's move on. And I was
Yeah.
like,
And we
oh,
don't even see it. Like he just like does it off camera because Dean is
yeah,
talking to the LARPers who've now like insisted on helping.
yes.
Um, but yeah, he's just like, oh, just go do it. And then we
Just do
assume
your,
it has been done because the next scene is actor
she's doing it.
Letitia, yeah, in the
Yeah.
room.
I feel like he should have said you should just bedside Sam her. So everything we've been calling bedside Sam, they refer to as puppy dog.
Puppy
But
dog thing.
I like bedside Sam. But anyway, because that's what Sam and Dean would do. The LARPers want to help.
Yes.
And yeah, so the next thing we see is Letitia, the actress, the Hooters,
Hmm.
walking into the room where these three ghost boys are, and they all seem afraid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And she's ordering them to open the doors right now, do as I
mhm.
say. And the other three, Sam and the two LARPers, are pushing against the door, hoping for any kind of give. So one by one, the LARPers get out. But unfortunately, actress Letitia's phone goes off.
It's like some hip hop,
Yeah, phone
ringtone or
ring.
something, and the ghost boys are like, hmm,
Yeah,
I
that gives
don't.
her away.
And so they
Yeah.
like pull out their knives, very slow and
Mm-hmm.
creepy. Um, and that's when Dean steps in, hero Dean,
Mm-hmm.
puts himself between her and the ghost and is like, run. So out she goes,
Yep.
and Dean whips out what is it, a poker, a fire poker,
Yeah. Yeah.
and does the Dean thing,
Yeah.
which is put himself in harm's way to
Yeah.
protect.
Yeah. So there's like so many things going on right now. The two LARPers are in the graveyard,
Right, because
digging
they
up.
made it out. Yeah.
They made it out and they know what to do. So they're digging up the bones. And the LARPer Sam is like, oh my God, this is so much harder than the books make it out to be.
They make it seem so easy. I think I'm gonna throw up.
And
Oh, brilliant.
I'll save this for the end banter, but just remind me about Graves.
Okay.
So while that's happening, Chuck is in the room vamping, apparently answering questions about medical conditions.
Oh my
Uh,
God. Right? And like STDs.
yeah. But
Oh,
the hotel clerk, who's not part of this convention, he was just ushered in there by Sam and Dean. He's just like, I've had enough of this. I'm ready to go. And so he tries to open the door, even though Chuck says, don't, you have to stay here. This clerk is
yep.
looking at him like, what the fuck are you
What's
gonna
going? Yeah.
do, little Weasley guy? Opens the door, breaks the salt line. One of the three kids is there to greet him
Yep.
with his knife. And this is all like just slightly slow motion. It's like heroic slow motion.
Yes.
Um,
For Chuck.
for Chuck, because in comes Chuck swooping in with his microphone stand, swings it down, swoops it down on top of this little ghost boy, like destroys him in that, the way the iron does. With he slams the door shut and he says, "Everybody stay here and salt up this door."
Dun dun.
And that
Yes.
is a huge turn on for Miss
Huge turn.
Becky.
Right? She literally does like, oh.
Yeah.
Which is comical because just 2 seconds before that happened, Chuck was relaying his like terrible
Oh, that's
teenage
what he was
story
doing.
about
Yes, he was just like
losing his
telling his
virginity.
romantic life story. Yeah, that's what it was. That was
About
one of
losing
the
his.
things that was happening. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But still, he out of that story, he then becomes like the superhero.
Yeah, Becky's loving it. And then
Back at the
finally,
grave. Back
well,
at the
no, but
grave.
also no,
Oh,
there's one before the grave, or while
okay.
this is all happening. Dean's poker gets knocked out of his hands. by one of
I
the Ghost
missed
Boys.
that. Oh my
Oh, then
God.
not only did you miss that, is like then Sam, since he can't get out anymore, he's abandoned trying to push open the door. He comes in, grabs the poker, swings at the kid, at one of the kids. But then the kid number two comes by, knocks the poker out of his hand.
His hand. Oh my God, I totally missed this sequence.
They even did a close-up of the poker on the floor after it gets both
Oh
times.
my God. See, this is what happens when I rush sometimes because I'm like, Sammy's waiting for me. I need to get through this. I
Sorry.
missed that.
That's okay. You missed stuff, I missed stuff, and we make up for it.
That's brilliant.
I know. And even I said, like, I was laughing and I was like, maybe that
Oh
guy was right.
my
They should
God.
invest in a bungee
In a
cord.
bungee cord.
And
Oh my God.
then Dean even says it later too. He's just like, you know
It's like
what?
maybe
Maybe
we
we
should have
should.
a bungee cord. I'm surprised they didn't do like a slow motion push in on the poker on the
On the
ground,
poker.
like
No, it definitely, and I think Dean even kind of looks at it like after he gets
like
knocked
son
down
of
and it's
a
on the ground and he's just like, oh shit. Um,
it does happen a lot.
yeah.
Oh my
So,
God, that's
yeah.
great. So it goes from there though to the LARPers out digging the
Yeah.
grave trying to be like the hero Seaman Dan, Valerie. Good. That sounds great. Dean and Sam. I couldn't have mixed that up any better.
Yeah.
They can't get their Zippo to
Yeah, they
light.
have the bones out finally,
Yes.
but
But they can't get the Zippo to light. They're like, God, they make it look so easy,
yeah, it's like Dean always
which
does
is
this on the
on
first
the
try.
first try, which is hysterical because if you look at any of the outtakes, it's just Jensen going, son of a bitch, because he just can't get it to light. And he's just like swearing and cursing, trying to get
That's funny.
his Zippo to light, which he must have had a good time watching them like
Yeah.
struggle trying to get
Yeah.
that, trying to get it. But they do get it to light eventually.
Yes. Just in
Burn the
time
bones.
because both Sam and Dean are trapped under different children with knives to their heads
Yep.
and they're struggling to get them off, but
Yep.
luckily they don't have to. They burn away.
Yes. Yay. So this leaves the wrap up to, Sam and Dean talking to the LARPing Sam and Dean. And we realize that the LARPing Sam and Dean, they met each other online. They're a couple, which is amazing, if
Mm-hmm.
not slightly awkward for someone like Dean. And awkward, not in the sense that these guys are gay, but the fact that they're playing brothers and
Brothers,
are
yes,
gay,
that's the thing that was weird.
yes,
Yeah.
completely leaning into the panel topic of the subtext,
Yes, the
not
panel
really
top.
subtext
Yes, and
of
the
the homoerotic
oh my God, what's the phrase that I'm trying to the
homoerotic
no,
subtext
no,
of
no, no, fanfic.
fan fiction,
Yeah, fanfic.
of somehow Sam and Dean being
Oh,
a
there's so much,
couple.
yes, so much Sam and Dean
Yeah,
romance fanfic, which is
yeah,
gross.
it is
Sorry.
gross. No, it's gross. And if they weren't brothers, it would be fine, but they are clearly brothers, and there's no
Yes,
question about their brothers, and they do not love
right.
each other as homosexual partners.
Yes.
But
Um,
one of the things that LARPing Dean says to real Dean, he's like, "You're wrong." And he said the reason is, they they would die for each other. They have a brother who would give their lives for them.
mhm.
They have these relationships which are, unbreakable bonds. So why wouldn't people want to have that
Yeah, and you get up
um
and you like save the world every day. You're
every day?
heroes.
Yeah. And I think Dean actually hears them.
Yeah, I
It's
think
not like
so.
a light bulb moment, but he hears them.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay. But it's
Yeah,
also a little bit weird for him because he's seeing these two guys who are like leaning their heads on each other, talking about how much they, love each other while talking
yeah.
about how much Sam and Dean love
Yeah,
each
the
other. So
brotherly
it's
love.
a
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah, it's a
it's
weird
like
little moment where he's like, I'm gonna go now.
yeah,
He's like, I
yeah.
hear you, but I'm gonna walk away.
Yeah. I love that the tall guy is the one that leans his head on his
Yeah,
boyfriend. And it's just
yeah.
like he has to bend like a full
Bend
90
down,
degrees.
yeah, yeah. And it's sweet. It's not
No, it is sweet.
uncomfortable.
No,
It's
it
just
was
sweet.
just it was
Yeah,
just like that was a funny physical
it was very
choice
funny.
to have the
Yes.
tall guy
The tall guy
lean
had to
on
be
his
like
guy who's like a full foot
a
shorter.
full foot. Yeah. So in the meantime,
Yes, Becky is breaking up with Sam, saying like we had such undeniable chemistry, but I've just found something else and the heart wants what the heart
heart
wants.
wants. There's like
On and on
violins
and on and
playing in the
on. Yes.
background.
And
Yeah.
again, this repeat pull away, and Chuck is right next to her.
It's just like this
I never got tired of that gag
dopey.
where she's just
No,
like fawning, still in a way, fawning over Sam in front of her now
in
new
front of her now
boyfriend.
boyfriend. Yes, and he's just standing there like, uh-huh,
And this time
that's
he
me.
plays along. He's like, okay, you know what? I'll do the soap opera with you. It's just like, I don't know how I'm gonna live, but I will find a way.
Hmm.
Um, then
And,
tells
and
Chuck, he's just like, you know what? If you want to write more books, that's okay. Nope, just kidding. We have guns.
just
We
kidding.
will come after you.
Yeah, I literally wrote down in that like nanosecond where he
Uh-huh.
says, yes, it's okay to write books. I started to write down what changed Sam's mind, and then he goes, nope, just kidding. We have guns. We know, we'll find you. And I was like, and done. I'm done with that particular note.
Yeah.
But
But
in that
then
walkaway,
Becky, her
guys walking away,
moment.
oh, total change of the storyline dropped in
Yes.
right here, and it's by
Yes.
Becky.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, by the way, something that what bothered me is why didn't you guys pick up on?
Right. She does the fan thing where, what any fan of any show or book or whatever, they pick up on all the details. She's like in chapter 18 of this book and in this scene, and remember when Bella, that British chick, she took the colt and then she said she gave it to Lilith. Well, she didn't actually give it to Lilith. She gave it to this demon named Crowley.
Yeah. And Sam's like, squeeze me, what?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. And she's like, oh, yeah, Crowley, I think who was kind of her, right-hand man, maybe even her squeeze. Yeah. She never gave it to Lilith. She gave it to Crowley.
Yes. And now he gives Becky his undivided attention, and she's delighted.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And he's like, tell me everything.
Yes. And we don't hear the everything, but
No.
we do hear Sam coming to Dean and being like, gotta lead, we gotta go.
We got things to do.
Yeah.
So, and that's not how the episode ends. What I think is hysterical is that the episode ends with a flashback to Chuck telling, like, what he was telling the LARPers, like what stories he was telling the LARPers while they were all trapped in the room together, which cracked me up. Because first of all, Chuck he's grasping at anything.
Yeah.
And he's just rambling. But one of the things he talks about is he had a crush on Nancy McKeon from The Facts of Life. And I was like, oh my God, I loved Joe from The Facts of Life. I wanted to be Joe from The Facts of Life, which cracks me up that he picked that. And then he's like, no, I don't think the Benders like made bodysuits out of everybody, but maybe a scarf or two. Which I was like, what? Like, who asked that question? Okay, that must have been a question somewhere. And then he ends the episode by talking about beaches. And jumping the shark. The fact that he went to beaches kind of cracks me up. But he said something like, it's not jumping the shark if you never come down.
Yeah, something like that.
And I was like, that must have been some sort of like writers patting themselves on the back for their jumping the shark episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hate inside
never,
jokes
like
that
actually
I don't
take the leap. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's actually on the DVD, you could probably find them on YouTube, I imagine. There's a deleted scene where it's just more clips of Chuck.
Of what he's
Yes.
That must have been all improv. They literally must have just put him up on stage and said, what would you be talking about?
Just go. Yeah. So
what would you say to keep people in?
Yeah, I remember one of them was he brought up Bella. He's like, "Oh, remember Bella?" or something, and the whole group went, "No." He's like, "Oh, okay, didn't like Bella. Okay,
can't go to Bella. Okay,
okay."
Yeah, that was
note
also
to self.
Heated. People hated Bella for what she did.
I know, poor Bella,
but
she had potential.
Oh,
And he kept going a little bit longer about the Joe thing, how he wrote to her, and she never actually wrote back, but her publicist did send a headshot of her, and she signed the O's as little hearts, which I thought was really cute. And there's a few of them. It was very funny.
That's one of the things I love about movie outtakes is when they show when a director doesn't say cut. And the performers are forced to just keep going, and it's unscripted. It's like you're given an idea and you have to just run with the idea until the director says cut. I love that. I love
Yes.
to see like what actors actually bring to a character and what they actually, add to a show because it's not all scripted and it's not
Mm-mm.
all given to you by the director. You're cast because of who the director sees you as,
Yes. Yes.
and
I'm actually going
I
to bring
just
this
love that.
back to another Parks and Rec moment. Patton Oswalt was guest starring, and he plays like a super devoted, old school government nerd. Kind of the old Williamsburg kind of.
Okay.
He does that kind of LARPing. you know? But anyway, they're at a city council meeting, and he's holding a filibuster. And he goes on and on and on. The director never yells cut, so he just keeps going. I
Going.
think the scene goes for not, they obviously edited it down for the air episode, but unedited, it's like 21 minutes of him just going
Oh
on.
my
It's a ridiculous,
God.
epic amount of time. And he's like trying to connect the Star Wars universe and the Marvel universe. And he's going
Stop.
on all about the gems, the Infinity Stones that are on the gauntlet, the Infinity Gauntlet, and he somehow connects it with Star
Oh
Trek
my
or Star
God.
Wars. I
That's
don't remember.
brilliant.
But he goes on and on and on and on and on and
Oh
on and
my
on. And I
God.
don't think the director told him I'm going to let you go. I think
Right.
the
He
director
just
was just
had
like, I'm just gonna see
where
if
this
he goes.
goes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. That's why it's so hard for some actors. You think that it must be all fun and games, but it's like if you're actually not the one on camera or the one whose take it is, you have to
Hmm.
stay in it.
Yes.
You can't be the one who breaks it because you never know where it's supposed to go or where it's
Yeah.
going to go. So if you're the one who's responsible for breaking a scene, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you just never know how hard or how deep someone was digging to bring something up. And oh man. You said to mention graves.
Oh, did I tell you that I met a real grave digger?
No? When?
Yes.
How? Why?
It was a while ago. It was when around the time that I first started this new job because they do a lot of like events, like happy hour. So this guy works in this industry. I think now he works for a company that does like plumbing inspections or something like that. But we were just chatting and talking about like, oh, what did you do before this? And I was mentioning my performing arts stuff. I was a stage manager for opera. There's no money in that. So then I came to construction. And he says, like, oh, I was a grave digger. And I was like, what? That's a
Oh
thing.
my God. You mean you're not just a backhoe digger? You're a
The thing is here at least in the city, because I think he was around the city or at least in the tri-state area. Yes, you can use equipment a lot of the time, but there's a lot of times you can't because either the gravestones are too narrow, and there's
oh.
not enough space to bring in the machine, or
Mhm.
the ground on the top is not stable enough, and like some of those
You
really
can't it
old
can't hold
graves,
the
yeah, they're like
you'll
not
like
buried far enough.
you'll crush,
Um,
yeah.
or the incline is too much. Like there's so many circumstances in which he literally had
Told
to
you all about. Okay, that's kind of
shovel graves. No, I was fascinated. I was like, what? Like that was the last thing I would have expected anybody to say. And he
never
was
say
just like,
by the
oh
way.
no, I loved it. He,
Oh my gosh. That's hysterical.
I
I
know.
used to be a
And I
grave
should,
digger. Oh
but
my
next
God.
time
It's
I
like
see him, and I probably will, I'm gonna ask him how long
to
it takes to dig up a grave.
dig up a grave. He's like, let me just specify that I actually dug graves, not up graves.
Yes.
I made room. I didn't remove.
Right.
Um, that's amazing. I forgot to mention this is going back to the things that we say in the beginning, like MapQuest. So this took place in Vermilion, Ohio,
Hmm.
and which is apparently real,
Hmm.
Vermilion, and it's just outside of Cleveland. And I looked up Vermilion. I was like, why would anybody go to Vermilion, Ohio? It's because they hold the Woolly Bear Festival. Do you know what a woolly bear is? You should know, you living up there in the trees.
It's not a gay thing. It's an
It's
actual.
not. It's an
Okay, it's a
actual,
real bear. Okay.
yeah, woolly bear is a caterpillar. It's those yellow, I mean, yellow, it's those orange and
Oh,
black fuzzy
yes. I have
caterpillars.
definitely seen those.
They literally hold the Woolly Bear Festival, and I'm really disappointed that in this episode of Supernatural, they did not
They
even
didn't
mention
mention it.
not a single woolly bear. I mean, not even a passing woolly bear. And I think they should have, just because A, it's fun to say, B, they're
Right.
super cute. And the fact that this festival also has like the world's longest parade, which cracks me up. So if I were to go to Vermilion,
Uh,
Ohio, it would be to, do
to go to
my
the Woolly Bear
supernatural
Festival.
trek, but also because I want to see the Woolly Bear Festival. I mean, like people dress up their dogs as woolly bears.
Oh my
Um,
God. I want to
yeah.
dress up Marvel as a woolly bear. I could just
Oh my
dye her
God.
fur.
Right? Black, no,
Yep.
black, orange,
Black
black.
orange,
And then,
black orange.
yeah. And so again, a little disappointed in Kripke for not adding that. If you're gonna place this, place an episode in
Yeah.
Vermilion, Ohio, why not
The
mention the
woolly
woolly
bear.
bear?
Yeah. Can you go back and re-edit, please?
Could you please, or maybe in a future episode of The Boys, add a woolly
Yeah.
bear in a non-sexual exploding manner? I'd
Yeah.
really appreciate that if you don't mind. Yeah, that's all I got. My one thing, I was
Yeah.
like, I can't believe I got this whole episode without saying woolly bear. So, woolly bear, woolly bear, woolly bear. What's next? I didn't even look to see what was next.
Oh, I don't want to watch this episode.
Oh, is it
Not
is
because
it
it's bad, but it's sad.
oh, is it a standalone like this one was that kind of gets us back in, or is it
Mm, it's back in.
back into the story? Okay.
It's back in.
Okay.
And I honestly don't remember if this is where we meet Sir Crowley, but I assume it is since it was set up so nicely
Yes, right.
at the
Crowley
end here.
has, yes, Crowley has
Has the
the
cold.
cold.
But the name of
So,
the episode is Abandon All Hope. And
oh,
that's
well,
all
that
I'm going to say
sounds
about it.
terribly,
But
terribly
reading the description and
foreshadowing.
seeing, yes, reading the description and seeing the little photo that goes with it on the
Yeah.
DVD thing. I know which one this is, and I'm not looking
Okay.
forward to watching this one. It's very
I
good, but very sad, and I don't want to do sad.
so I have a dumb question. Is there another episode where they reference the Ghostbusters ever again? And the only reason I ask is because there's stuff online with them, like there's photos and stuff with Jensen and Jared like in Ghostbuster costumes.
I couldn't
And
tell you off the top of my head.
I'm like, why would they even be in Ghostbuster costumes? Like, unless it was some sort of like publicity stunt for this episode, even though
Right.
they are nowhere near. Ghostbusters are never mentioned, and they aren't Ghostbusters, in the sense of the real
No, I
Ghostbusters.
mean, I know the ghost facers come up again at least one other time.
Yeah, I don't remember. But that's in Ghostfacer
The
stuff. Like,
ghost
I don't.
facers, which are ghosts like hunting
Hunters.
and not
Yeah.
ghost busters. I mean,
Okay.
it's hard to say like no, I don't think that they have because there are 10 more seasons of the show.
What, you can't tell me right now that in those 10 seasons, in those
I'm a
200 episodes, that there
I'm a
isn't.
terrible fan in which I don't know the answer to this question. Thank you so much for tuning in this week for what is the name of this episode? The Real Ghostbusters. Please make sure to subscribe and follow. And I want to thank the subscribers and followers who are still listening and who reach out to us. And it's very lovely. And I know we are not that consistent anymore. And I want to promise that we will, but
We'll keep doing it. It's just,
we'll keep doing it.
we'll keep
That's all
doing
I
it.
can
That's
promise
all
is
we
that
can
we
say.
will
It's just,
keep doing it.
yeah.
And
It's
thank you
like,
for sticking by. Really appreciate it. So if you could follow us and subscribe to us and rate us, that would be fabulous on any platform that allows a rating. You can also follow us on social media. We are at Salt and Burn This everywhere. I think we're on Blue Sky now,
yes.
yes? Okay.
Yes.
We should probably be on Substack also.
We should. I don't know how to do that.
That's
So,
okay. I just joined it not too long ago, so maybe I can figure
yeah,
it out.
that'd be awesome. I'm getting into that more myself. So,
Yeah.
I just want to point out that I love Nancy McKeon and I enjoyed the movie Beaches. Um, I also love MacGyver.
I don't know any of those. All right. We will see you next time for a less goofy episode, unfortunately, but a good one nonetheless.
Okay.
Abandon all hope. So we will
Okay.
see you next time. Bye.
Bye.